We are young, we are powerful.
We are female,
we are Muslims. We are Sisters Speak, destroying the stereotype of stigmatized Muslim women.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to the Sisters Speak podcast. You're listening to Amina, and today I chose the topic of celebrities and are we finally over them? And I'm here with Mariam, Lamisa and Sonia, who seems to have disappeared, but I hope she comes back. We'll check on her in a bit. So the reason why I chose this topic is because we've just come out of lockdown. Lockdown is easing, and I think during lockdown we had many eye-opening events. One of them being the need for celebrities, and I'll get into why lockdown is actually a turning point in this whole question that I'm asking. I think we did a hot topic on this a while ago, but yeah, we'll just get into it really. So I want to ask you guys, like, what is your... So I was just thinking, what do we think of celebrities? We're just taking away whatever's happened during lockdown. What was our initial opinions of them, or did we ever look up to them in big ways when we were younger? Because a lot of us are just easing our way into adulthood now, and I think a big thing for teenagers is looking up to movie stars and trying to be a certain way because of celebrities. Maybe not. Maybe some of you guys didn't go through that, so I'm just going to ask you. So Mariam, what would you say?
For me, when I was younger, I don't think I really aspired to be like celebrities at all. I don't think that was the case. I think more often I would be inspired by people around me or people that I knew from like mutual people. So if I saw someone who's really inspirational, but I didn't know them directly, but I knew of them, so like through third person party, I think I'd be really influenced by them. And I'd think, wow, this person has such incredible qualities, blah blah blah. Or this will sound really funny, but when I was on Tumblr, if anyone knows Tumblr, there used to be these people that used to blog and they used to write such articulate posts, and sometimes they would do like these video things, and I would go to them and I'd feel so inspired and influenced by them. So I think when I was younger, it was the people that had my interests. If they were like really intelligent, if they were really like if they said something of substance and that really influenced me, I would follow them. I would want to speak like them. I would almost want to be as knowledgeable as them.
Okay, that's interesting. What about you, Lamisa?
I don't think I aspired to celebrities in the sense of just following what they do or trying to be like them on the outside. But I think the idea of being a celebrity is always something that appeals to me. Take from that what you will. But I feel like the idea of like being famous or the idea of having that much influence was something that I was like, that would be cool to be able to have, or, you know, that type of thing. But I don't think I ever really like took it seriously in the sense of, for example, like what they wore or the types of things that they did, like following that and trying to implement that in my life. But I think I kind of followed them in the sense that I wanted to have that same sort of level, be on that level as them. But yeah.
Okay, I kind of get what you mean. Like, you would think about being interviewed on a talk show or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I totally get that. And Sonia, what about you? Did you have a time in your youth, I guess? Well, we are still quite youthful, but when you were younger than you are right now,
yeah.
Did you have a phase of really looking up to certain celebrities and wanting to be like them?
I think mine is kind of the same as Lamisa. Like, I wasn't exactly like picking on a
celebrity, like a specific one, and looking at what they wear or what they do or what they eat, like some people do, which is fine as well. But I'm not gonna lie to you, like I like the spotlight, and I thought, yeah, I'd love to be like a musician or an actor or a news reporter. Like that's still one of my goals, kind of, even being in radio. Like I like to think that having an influence or being in the spotlight. Yeah, I think I still do. I mean, you know how you said younger? I feel like I still actually think like that now. And being like somewhere in the spotlight where newspapers write about you, that's something I would still like aspire. Not crazily, but I wouldn't mind it.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I guess having an influence, a good influence, is a good thing. Like being able to inspire people and
it can be
have
positive.
a voice for other people. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, that's kind of, I guess I just asked that question to ease us into the topic of celebrities, because you know, they're called celebrities because people celebrate them, right? So I just wanted to understand that. But yeah, I guess to answer my own question, I think I was kind of like you guys. I never really wanted to be exactly like a particular celebrity, but I do remember following a lot of what they did, like in me and my sister used to buy these like girly magazines, so so like whatever movies were really big in 2009 and 2010, like that was what was in the magazine. So we just read a lot about that, and I think it was just interesting to see what celebrities are really like, because they're like this in a film and you see them on the red carpet, but then you're like, oh, but what's their favorite food or something? I think that's just I think that for some people that's quite fascinating in some ways, because they're like so idolized, and the public doesn't seem to think that they're normal people. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, why do we as a society think of celebrities in that way? Like, why are we so fascinated by their favorite color and where they like to eat? Sorry, I need to ask. Yeah, so Mariam, why do you think that?
I think reality is very saturated, and people feel that this is something that would bring them happiness, and it's usually when people have the not gaps in their own life, but it's just something they think that will bring them happiness, or they think it's something that they would feel some sort of satisfaction from. So even for me, you know, in a different level, I like watching travel vlogs a lot, and that person's life is completely different to mine. They can afford to go traveling 12 months a year. They could afford to do all of things, but that lifestyle is not realistic for me. So I think people, you know, in terms of celebrities, I think they can afford to have the opportunities, or they can afford to have the life that a lot of people can't live. So watching it, there's some sort of sense of satisfaction. But taking that a step forward in terms of, you know, wanting to be like them, I kind of get lost in that translation, because I think there comes a point where you just be happy with who you are, and you don't really think, you realize there's only one of you, and that's the only thing that you can put in this world. But yeah, I do understand, like, some people just really feel influenced and inspired, and they really admire these type of people, but I think more often than not, they haven't really taken time to have that self-awareness, to look at themselves and to see that they can celebrate amazing qualities about themselves. Or maybe they just, I don't know what thought process people have who want to, you know, eat like a celebrity, behave like a celebrity. I genuinely don't know, because I've never been in that position. But I do think that, you know, it's an element of saturation, and I also think it's an element of kind of looking at a reality that's very attractive and appealing.
Yeah, yeah, I get what you mean by that. I was more asking about like not exactly wanting to be what a celebrity is, but why we want to know. Because like, I guess I guess the answer might be a bit obvious, maybe, but I was just thinking like we don't really look at a random person on the street and think, oh my god, what's their favorite food? But we think about, I keep saying favorite food. I don't know why I keep saying favorite food, but like just what why are we so fascinated by the ins and outs of a celebrity's life? Not to say that we want to be exactly like them and we want to be involved in their life, but I think um maybe it's because we just see them on a big screen and they're playing a character, or maybe if they're not actors, they're a musician or
I
something else. But they only show us a certain
yeah.
part of their life, so maybe we're fascinated by just by knowing exactly who they are. Would you guys agree with that?
I think what it is that we're emotionally invested in these people, so we think we've followed them through the beginning and we want to see it through the end. So we've created attachment to these characters. It's even similar to a book. When we read a book, why do we want to read all the series rather than just one? Because we create this picture in our head and we create a connection in our head and we want to see that develop. So I think in terms of celebrities, it's kind of the same concept. We want to watch them progress and we want to watch them, we want to know everything about them because we created that connection ourselves.
Yeah. What about you guys, Lamisa and Sonia? Like, what do you think?
I think, celebrities are, say if you were to go visit like a famous landmark or something else, I feel like we don't see them necessarily as people. And I think that's where the fascination with them kind of begins, is the sense that they're not like anyone else. So like, say if you saw them on the street, you'd be like, oh my God, when am I ever going to see this person again? I need to take a picture or something like that, which you wouldn't do with any other normal random person. So things that are weird for normal people, they become okay in the presence of a celebrity. And I feel like it's because of that rarity around them. But I guess wanting to know about their lifestyle, it kind of, it's curiosity, right? Isn't it? Like how you want to know, like why are some people so nosy, or why is it always interesting to find out about someone else's love life? I feel like it's the same type of thing, but because they're so out there and they make themselves so readily available, it kind of makes you curious about what's going on. I feel like that's something that everyone just has within them, and that may be why.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good point. Especially because I like what you said about them being so readily available, because I guess their faces are plastered everywhere. But yeah, back to the main topic. I didn't really want to talk too much about why we think they're so great. I wanted to talk more about why we're starting to think that they're not so great. And I just want to give a disclaimer that I don't want the purpose of this podcast to be like bashing particular celebrities, although I will be naming one or two. I'm rather criticizing the culture that they've created in some ways. So I was reading an article. I was reading an article on the BBC, which is called "Is the Age of the Celebrity Over?" which is exactly what I needed to read because that's kind of what I'm talking about. And they mentioned that I'm not sure if you guys remember this. It was quite early on in lockdown, which was why it became such a big thing. It was the Imagine video that was, I think, organized by the actress for Wonder Woman, and it featured many other celebrities. They were singing John Legend's song called Imagine, and the article says that this was almost a pivotal moment in how we view celebrities and our need for them, and it revealed how because the video was so tone deaf, they released the video. I think it was a day or two after lockdown started, so they were acting like they were all cooped up and not wearing any makeup, and their hair is messy, and they're all like going crazy in their house, and they're telling the world that, oh, it's going to be okay, but it's only been 2 days, and no one really got an idea of what lockdown would be like. So I think everyone just thought that this was, I don't know, I thought it was a really strange thing to put out there. I didn't ask for it. I don't think any of us asked for it. But yeah, I kind of agree with what this article is saying about how that was a pivotal moment and kind of opened the world's eyes to what to our need for celebrities in some ways. Like, we didn't really need them to help us get through lockdown. So yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, like, did you feel a different way about not a different way, I guess we've already talked about celebrities, and I think all of us never really idolized them to begin with, but was this still did this still open your eyes to a reality that we didn't really acknowledge before lockdown happened and before this video came out? Sonia, what do you think?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it opened my eyes in a way, but it definitely kind of helped with that narrative of what are they doing? Like, we don't need celebrities to be telling us this to make us feel okay. Like, we're not anyone that we worship or look up to like that. Like, for me personally, it has always been like an entertainment thing. Or like a funny, yeah, like it's entertainment. It's funny, usually like someone that's a comedian or, an actor. And when they brought out of that world and, they're trying to get involved with real life stuff, some people like it because they think, oh, it's down to earth. They're being real with you. They're kind of almost standing by you. Whereas when you look deeper into it, and I think this is what's happened, we're like, you're not really one of us. Like, you do live differently to us. You have way more privileges than us. So we don't want you to act like you're going through the same struggle as us. And it kind of that imagine like the singing, whatever they did, which was so weird, in my opinion. It reminds me of like Live Aid, which was a concert that was in the 80s. And that was like probably one of the first biggest ones that I know of. Not, I wasn't even born then, but like I know of it because it was so big. And it was like loads of celebrities were involved. Like they were singing, and it made a lot of people were raising money because they were so like, wow, all these celebrities are involved in this, and they're raising money for, I think it was Ethiopia, the famine in Ethiopia. And so that I kind of understand, when they can inspire you to do something good, such as donating money, or the celebrities themselves are giving money. Whereas this particular example, during a pandemic, what were you doing? Because it didn't feel like they were keeping our spirits up, because we were so low that all we could think about is the privilege where they get to live, how they're living. You know how you said like cooped up at home? Not really. Some of them got swimming pools and stuff. So I think that's when, for me, yeah, I did feel like kind of like, please don't try and be like, don't do this whole down to earth thing, because you're not on the same level as us. You're way higher. We have put you in a higher position.
Right, I think you explained that so well, especially because I like that you mentioned how we like celebrities for the entertainment they give, and
Yeah.
I think what I liked to see during lockdown was I really respected whoever, like, there were a bunch of celebrities that did a lot of entertainment from home, and I think that was what kept our spirits up. And I think when they were trying to be on the same level as the general public, people who aren't, millionaires and who don't live in giant mansions with, a swimming pool and however many bedrooms they have. I don't think there's anything wrong with having wealth, but it's when you are clearly wealthy and using that to try to be on the same level as the general public is when it becomes like you're almost rubbing it in. And yeah, it was tone deaf, like I mentioned before.
Can I
Yeah,
add something?
sure.
So, like you're talking about this whole celebrity culture. To be honest, I didn't follow any celebrity during lockdown. I don't even follow celebrities. And the only one that actually came to mind, I don't know what his name, but the guy that was doing PE lessons for everyone, I think that was so inspirational for kids, because every day he would do that. I don't know if you guys heard of him. He did like YouTube videos, and it was really like viral, like physical education videos to like he basically created a resource for children, because when they couldn't go to school, and that's the only kind of celebrity contribution that kind of what's it called, picked up my attention.
Yeah, I saw that too. But yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So whether you're a celebrity or an influencer, basically someone with a big audience, I think, I think lockdown made us realize what their true purpose is, and I kind of, I think it opened our eyes more than it opened theirs in some ways. In this same article, they mentioned that the celebrities themselves don't really know what we want from them and what their purpose is, because they were all singing and washing their hands in their grand kitchens and telling us to stay strong and be positive, when some of us had to still go to work, or being at home is not as easy as it seems. So yeah, that was a really good example. I think his name was P. Joe. I thought that was really heartwarming, because he named himself the PE teacher for the nation. So it's things like that, like using your platform for a good cause, whether it be entertainment or helping people with their mental health or physical health. I really liked that. So moving on, I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about it. You probably have. It's been in the news quite a bit recently. Is the whole drama, I guess. I don't like to use the word drama. It sounds weird. Well, the whole. Oh my god, what's the word? I feel like we're gonna have to cut this bit out.
Controversy.
Yes, controversy. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna start that bit again. So moving on, I wanted to mention the controversy with the Ellen show. Did you guys hear about that, or have you read about it or seen it on social media or anything?
I think
Can someone
I
read?
have seen a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
stuff about Ellen, but I never went into actually
Okay.
read it.
That's fine, because I am gonna brief you guys. So, I'm reading an article from The Guardian, and it mentions how her show is a show so she's a talk show host, for those who don't know, and she preaches positivity and kindness, and she has a slogan that is be kind. She has a lot of merch with that. But during lockdown, it was revealed that she was not paying her crew, and she also, like I mentioned before, a lot of celebrities were still doing entertainment from home, but she didn't use her usual crew from her show, but used other, a private crew, like camera crew, producers, and stuff like that. So the whole controversy was that she preaches kindness, but she wasn't actually following through with that. And I just wanted to kind of get your opinions on this particular controversy, because I thought this was the two big things that happened during lockdown was the Imagine video, and then this controversy. I think maybe the pressure of being in lockdown kind of unmasked celebrities in some ways. But yeah, what do you guys think of it, Lamisa? What are your opinions on this particular one?
Well, I guess it kind of shows the fact that no matter how much, like we said earlier, that celebrities' faces are sort of plastered everywhere, and they make themselves really, I guess, known to the public. That is what a celebrity is. But at the end of the day, no matter how much we sort of see them and we feel like we know them, we don't actually know them. And I think this kind of goes two ways, in the sense that the fact that you don't actually know a person, and you don't actually know what they're like, in some ways, for them to live up to a certain standard can become, I can imagine from their end, quite, what's the word? It can become quite suffocating in a way, because they have to live up to this type of expectation that they may have about them, when we don't know what they're like sort of in everyday life. But on the flip side, if you're a person who's sort of always advocating a certain image of yourself, and you're making that for yourself, and you end up actually not being like that, I feel like there's a kind of deceiving element to that. And I think that's something that, you know, people may do, and I don't think it's right. And I feel like, you know, celebrity or not, to be sort of that type of way, almost two-faced, I guess you could say, isn't really right. So I think in this particular example, if there's like malicious intent behind it, or, you know, she has been proved to like not follow through on what she's been advocating all these years, then obviously there's something wrong with that. But at the same time, I feel like kind of making celebrities live up to a specific standard can be quite hard on them. Maybe not in this case though.
Right, yeah, I get what you mean. Like, we can't expect, maybe if they play a certain character, we can't expect them to be exactly like that. But if they are, you know, in this case, having the slogan "Be kind" and not being kind, or maybe being a big ambassador for a charity, perhaps, and not being, you know, what you would think a charitable person would be like. I think there are problems with that.
Because they can choose what to sort of get involved with and what not to. Like, that's up to their discretion, and what type of image they sort of give off. And if in the end they kind of do the opposite, then it's like, it's questionable what were your intentions in the first place.
Yeah. And do you guys think that that's a dangerous thing, especially because, you know, I was reading about it in the New York Times, and it was saying how the article mentioned how people, a lot of people look up to celebrities almost as a sense of security, and maybe, I think Mariam mentioned this in other shows where it's just kind of like, and I think you mentioned just before about the travel vlogs. It's just a way to kind of, you know, it's a nice thing to look at. It's something to aspire towards. And if you can't get it now, it's just, you know, sometimes it's just nice to look at things that you don't have in some ways. But is it dangerous because, you know, they're not actually being who they say they are? And does that show that any of that is even possible? Like, perhaps, does it cause trust issues?
Yeah, I do. I think from your perspective, but I also see it from the muse's perspective in terms of course, if they're advocating one thing and then they turn out to be something that is quite deceiving, but it's very subjective. It's our interpretation of how we perceive them. So if they don't explicitly, you know, doing like advocating something, and they're just blogging their daily lives or they're vlogging their travels, they're entitled to keep their private life private to some extent. And of course, your private life does reveal a lot more about you. So with the aspect of social media, you pick and choose what you want to portray, and you can create an image. And of course, it can be problematic because, especially if you know your audience is buying that, and you're just continuing to, you know, fill in that image that isn't really an accurate portrayal of you, then yes, I think it's problematic. But I think, you know, some of the like, for example, I watch a lot of travel vlogs. There's certain vloggers that I can just see that are so genuine, and you can just tell their genuine kind of nature, because it's very humanized. I don't think it's very saturated. It's very humanized, the way they kind of just pick up the camera and just, you know, do their thing. But I think in terms of other celebrities who, you know, have this massive mansion, and, you know, their lifestyle and their meals and even their day-to-day activities, it's such a lavish and luxurious way of living, then I think there's like a massive gap between, you know, our understanding of and our expectation of what we want them to be, and what the reality is, what they really are.
But I feel like, you know, Mariam, how you've just explained, like some vloggers are really genuine and you can tell that. But I feel like that's like, do you know though, is my
Yeah.
question. Like we never know what's actually happening with those people. And you say they're genuine, and I'm sure that's the impression they gave. But who knows if they really are, but also who knows how they feel having to live up to that expectation. I think that's what I was
Yeah,
getting at.
I think it's a vicious cycle. I think, with any expectation, even, let's talk about, when you wear like the hijab, for example, there's an expectation of how we should behave, and there's an expectation of our own personalities, and then how we want to be. So it is a vicious cycle, because you're doing something for the sake of God, or you're doing something for the sake of yourself, but then there's an added pressure of the expectation of what the community wants or what people are seeing, and then it's just kind of, how do you navigate
Can
between
I
those?
chip in there?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
no, if you wanted to just ask another question, but I think the difference with this, with celebrities for me, is that especially a talk show host such as Ellen, you've chosen to be in the spotlight. That's an active
For sure.
decision you've made. And also anything she chooses to represent, again, a decision she's made, like you said, Lamisa. So like she cannot, it's like a responsibility. And the example I have to give is that there was this rapper, and just last year he tweeted something, and he said, I think someone said, what kind of example is this to him? And he said straight out, he was like, do not use me as an example. Do not use me as a role model, and don't teach about me to your kids. And I was like, at first everyone was like kind of laughing, but then I was like, do you know what? That's amazing, because he said it straight out. And now if you hold him up to any expectations, you're the one that's doing the wrong thing, because he straight up said, don't use me as an example. And I think that's a good thing, because he's taken that responsibility and he said, I'm just a musician, enjoy my music, nothing else. And that's something maybe more celebrities could aspire to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think that if I think it's part of the job. So, for example, when we apply for a job, there is like, we have a remit, but there's always going to be this extra expectation, because that's just the part of the role. So, if you're a celebrity, it just comes with the clout. It comes with the clout. People are going to be influenced by you. So, it's actually more. I think to some extent, I think it's a good thing to say that, separate my music from my celebrity influence. But I do think there is no escaping it. If you become famous, there is going to be influence, and how much you want to take responsibility of it, it is completely down to you. But I think denying that there is going to be any, I don't think that's like the right way forward, because it just comes with the position. If you apply for any position, like for example, being a celebrity is like a full-time job. You're gaining money from it, and that you're going to create some sort of audience and influence. Similarly, if you go to a job in a normal, kind of practice, you applied for that job, there's expectation, and that remit could, give you a bit of influence. How do you use that influence is still like, it is got to do with your characteristics and how you manage that influence.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I kind of like, I get where you're both coming from, with the sense that, when you have that power and influence, you do have a responsibility. But at the same time, I do like what you mentioned, Sonia, about that rapper and what he tweeted, because it is, if you're in a certain industry, for example, you maybe it's not sorry, I keep losing my words. Appropriate. Okay, if you're in a certain industry, sometimes it's not appropriate for certain ages or certain people, and it's just like one demographic. But when you're like a general celebrity, you do have to live up to the expectations, especially if you are preaching positivity and things like that. But I just wanted to finish off with a quote, just not exactly a quote, just something that I read in the New York Times regarding this. I thought it kind of wrapped up this whole issue with celebrities we've been having in lockdown, and what's been revealed in a kind of almost funny way. So I'll just read it out. The famous are ambassadors of the meritocracy. They represent the American pursuit of wealth through talent, charm, and hard work. But the dream of class mobility dissipates when society locks down, the economy stalls, the death count mounts, and everyone's future is frozen inside their own crowded apartment or palatial mansion. The difference between the two has never been more obvious. And yeah, I think that just summed it up completely, like in the best way, because the fact that we all had to be stuck in our homes, and in some, maybe it sounds dark, but in some ways not being able to dream of bigger things or see bigger things because you are in the same place all day. I think it really showed the difference between the world we live in and the world they live in. In our world, everything is what we call normal, and their world is, you know, whatever goes on in their giant mansions. But yeah, I wanted to finish it on that, and I think you guys brought up some really good points. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast. We will be having more podcasts regularly. And yeah, make sure you tune in every Tuesday for our live show from 6 to 7 p.m. on Inspire FM. And follow us on Sister Speak on Instagram. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.